Okay, so I make quite a lot of crossbows. Now, some of them are pretty good, some of them aren't very good. I mean, this is one that I made, which can shoot relatively fast and is automatic. Now, it's pretty cool and it's pretty fun to make. But today, I want to see how fast I can actually make a crossbow shoot. Now, this is a pretty slow, but it's a start. So anyway, let's start. First, we're actually going to work on the firing system of the crossbow. So obviously, we actually need a crossbow. Now, my crossbows are powered by controllers, which are pretty useful, since when you basically pull them back, and then stop them from pulling back, but block them from going back, and then break, so blocking them, it snaps back into place with loads of force, which is what we use to actually propel our projectile. So here's me just doing all the controller stuff. So I basically need to make this thing just go back in a straight line, and that's not happening at the moment. Here it is, almost. I just need to make it, well, change some stuff, but then it should work. I'm actually going to change all of them to 360 as well, even though they don't all need to be 360, but it works out as long as you block them from going too far back. That does sometimes happen, but it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just going to try shooting something, because I want to see how far this thing will actually, well, propel something. And now if I delete this, it should go, well, flying forwards. Now that's a problem, it kind of went through the actual projectile. We probably won't have that problem so much when we actually fire, so this will be more of a messy procedure. So now I'm working on a system which will basically automatically, well, make this thing, well, fire. Now this is going to be important when we put it in a loop, because we want this thing to fire pretty quick. So this is basically just going to work with a piston, which is basically going to stop, well, the crossbow from going back to its original place. And then when we pull the piston back down again, it'll basically mean the crossbow will go flying forwards, which will basically propel whatever we need. So this might take a while since it's to do with timings, and I'm pretty bad at setting up timers. Now this was a lot more complicated than I thought, but it almost works. There's just a few more things on the timer that need to be set, but then it should work. As you can see, that does work pretty well as well. It's not exactly the fastest right now, but we can always do a few adjustments to make it faster. Then I put it on a loop. So right now, it could basically shoot at, well, 3 times a second, which is pretty good, but it's slightly less than that anyway. So now I put it on a loop, and as you can see, it looks like it'll fire pretty fast. Every time it goes forwards, that's when, well, it'll fire a projectile. So now we should work on the reloading system. But before I did that, I basically wanted to try something else to make it quicker. You see, one of the big drawbacks to this is that, well, the drawback speed. Thing is, this thing drawbacks very slow. Well, slowish, and that's not very good. So I doubled up the bearings, which should make it quicker. Now the only problem is this came with lots of flaws, so I didn't really want to go with it in the end, but at least I learned that the hard way. I didn't make a backup of this, so I had to revert everything manually, which was a bit of a pain, but eventually everything was back to normal. Now this thing did glitch out a bit because bearings just aren't very good at scrap mechanics. But anyway, now I'm going to start the reloading system. So this is going to use a piston and and a bearing. It's going to be a bit weird since I've never built anything like it before, and it might not work. But it should give us a lot of ammo if it does work, which will be pretty cool. As you can see, here it is on the actual crossbow. Now I just need to sync up that slug gun to basically detach the ammo so it falls at the right moment, which basically is so the crossbow can shoot it. Now this shouldn't be too hard, but now I'm just going to try and do it manually, and yeah, that did not go so well. You see, the problem is this thing spins very fast, a bit too fast, so I might have to change that. And I might have to change when it spins, but that'll be quite hard. Now, I did forget to save it, so I kind of did have to, well, put the ammo back in, but don't worry, it was fine. Now, you might notice I'm using plastic at the moment instead of explosive. That's because plastic has the same weight as explosives, so it's easier to just test out rather than just blowing off my face. So, after a bit of work, it should kind of fire now, I think. Now, that was pretty good for a first shot, and it went pretty fast, to be honest. But the reloading system didn't really work, but I'm pretty sure it's just because one of the bearings is going the wrong way, but so it can be easily fixed. But there's the ammo all the way out there, which is pretty far. If we can keep that, it'd be pretty cool. So here it is for the second time. Now that everything works, it works a lot worse. So I think even glitched out, which is not very good. Now I don't know why this happened, but this is probably a problem. Now the reloading system was not doing very good, so we needed to just change it a bit. Now this thing needed quite a few changes, since it was not doing well at the moment. Lots of the problems were in the reloading system, but also this wasn't very good in sync. The problem is it just felt a bit weird, like the things didn't drop at the right time, which was a bit weird, and didn't drop at the same time each time, and just glitched out. Like, it's a bit irregular, the actual whole thing, and this was kind of bad. So I did quite a few things to try and make it better, but just wouldn't really. The only way I could make it better probably is just slow this thing down a lot, which would have sucked, because the whole point was to make this thing fire fast. I worked quite a lot of work to try and make this reloading system work, but it just wouldn't, which sucked. And here's what could have been our final result. Now, this thing was looking like a failed idea now, but it wasn't really. See, it was still okay, and it still needed a lot of work, but I decided to try again to make a new reloading system. The old one was just too complicated and just had too much moving parts to work well with the crossbow. So I'm making another one, which will make it kind of better, hopefully. Now this is just going to have one piston, which means it's really simple, but it also works like a lot better than the old one. Now it's not going to have loads of range, this obviously, like it did at the start, but we're just going to have to deal with that. So now I'm just hooking up the new reloading system to it, just see how it will do, and it should do pretty well. Now this does have a few more spud guns than the old one, which is basically just to make this thing a lot better. And as you can see, that already worked a lot better. Of course it did glitch out, which is understandable since there are a few things that we need to change. Now it should work. It was pretty close, but it did glitch out a bit. I just need to change some timings and then it should work. That actually didn't work too bad. It sent two of them flying and one flying in a completely random direction. But that one was actually pretty good. It sent them all forwards, which is, I'm going to say, a win. It did a lot better than the old one. So yeah, now I'm just going to swap them all out for explosives to see how good it will do. Now I had very low expectations for this because it's just not going to work. And yeah, it just blew up. I tried to do quite a lot of things to make it, well, shoot explosives, but it just wouldn't work. So yeah, so yeah, this is the end result. It can shoot around 3 a second, which isn't too bad, and it's pretty cool. Now, I quite enjoyed making it, but it was quite frustrating with the old reloading system. But it's also pretty cool. And somehow I also killed a haybot with it. Somehow. I just kept spawning this one in, and just like kept firing at these haybots until one died. And one eventually did somehow. And this was quite a lot of work to make, and I did enjoy it as well. But anyway, bye.